and welcome to the Managing Engage training. My name is Courtney Laukitis. I am the Program Manager to Student Organizations in the Office for Student Involvement and Leadership. A quick couple things before we get started. This training and a couple other trainings are a part of the brand new SORT process that we have rolled out for student organizations to complete the registration and training process, hence the name SORT. So the trainings, there is one online training and then a couple, there is one in-person training and then a couple online trainings, and those are all due by May 20th. They become available on April 20th, and they are due by 8 p.m. on May 20th. So just be mindful of that with your calendar. Make sure that your Engage form is submitted, and that will count for your attendance for all of the trainings. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Your Engage form, you will need to have that handy so you can type in your answers and just follow along with that. You can view the recording video of this if you would like. Everything that I need you to answer in the questions will be verbally provided to you, but they're also provided on the screen as well. So if you'd rather watch the video and follow along or just listen, that's totally fine, however you would like to do that. One other thing is that whenever you see a title page on the screen, or I say, okay, we're talking about like the next topic, that will indicate you that you can go to the next page for the Engage form. And then lastly, of course, because this is a video, you can start and stop this at any point. You can rewind, you can fast forward, you can do whatever your heart desires. But those are just kind of the things you need to know before we get started. So let's go ahead and jump into the training. The overview. So in this training, we're going to learn what Engage is, what your student organization profile is, and then all of the things that are inside of that profile, which include your roster and permissions, events, documents, forms, news posts, and elections. So we will talk about our first topic here, Engage overview. So you should be, if I remember from seeing the form, you should be on page 3 by now. And it'll say, there should be like a title page at the top that says Engage overview. So if you see that, you're on the right spot. So Engage as a platform is an opportunity for us to utilize different profiles for both student organizations and campus departments. It also allows us to showcase student services within those different profiles. Additionally, there are involvement opportunities. You can create or maybe even complete a form. Of course, you can house your documents, kind of like what a Google Drive would do for you. And then you can also host student organization elections, and we'll go over all of that in detail. So there's two different types of perspectives for Engage. There is the student organization perspective, and then there's the campus community perspective. And what I mean by that is when you go into your platform and you're working on, creating an event, or you're updating your roster, you're sharing a form or anything like that, that is more of the student organization perspective. So you can submit events, which by the way has permissions on, so you can have it for just student organization members only, or maybe if it's a campus-wide event and you want everyone to know about it, you can provide the public or the campus permission to make it campus-wide. Other things that you can do is like manage your organization, such as your roster, your documents, your forms, your elections. You can, of course, complete your SORT requirements to maintain your student organization active status. Some other things that you can do are share your news posts for previous and upcoming events, meetings, fundraisers, anything like that. And then lastly, you will submit your annual budget request via Engage. From the campus perspective, so if someone were to just log on to rate.edu/engage, they would be able to see things like tracking their involvement in memberships within their own profile. They can complete events to participate in those opportunities, read the news posts, connect with Engage for the campus-wide events through the events tab at the top. And then, of course, discover student involvement opportunities through events and through organizations through those top tabs at the top of the homepage. So that's kind of like an overview of Engage in and of itself, like in a snapshot opportunity. That's what Engage really focuses on. Now, your student organization profile is a little bit different. So when we talk about the campus-wide perspective, we're really focusing on more of like a Facebook profile. You're joining your group, you're seeing what everybody's up to, you're posting your stuff, yada, yada, yada. But then whenever you're on your profile end, that's whenever it becomes more of like what a Google Drive is. Okay, so let's dive into this a little bit more. Next page, please, for your profile. So Engage acts as a personalized profile for student organizations to showcase their leadership and involvement opportunities to the entire Wright State campus community. All active registered student organizations, so things that you're working on right now, completing those trainings, that's going to prep you to be an active registered student organization. You all receive a profile so that you can utilize the profile throughout the academic year. We actually have a very high expectation that you are using your Engage profile as often as you possibly can. We promise you that through a ton of communication and education, you'll be able to see all of this. So if you're like, I hate Engage and this profile doesn't make any sense or this platform's stupid, please don't think that for too much longer. I promise you I'm working on a ton of information and content for that. And I want to provide you with more education to utilize your profile in a confident manner. So, and then lastly on this page, you'll see here where the arrow is that this little 3-lined menu that is it's a drop-down menu that is called your hamburger menu. We use that a lot with Engage. It's actually like a company term that they use, and I've adopted that in my everyday language. So moving forward, if we ever talk about a hamburger menu, know that it is a 3-lined menu provided to everyone once you click on your Manage Organization button. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your capabilities. When you click on that 3-lined menu, this is what you'll see. Okay, you're going to see your home and then different tools that you have, your roster, your about, events, news, gallery, all that good stuff right there. Now, mind you that some of the items that you can see here are determined based off of your permissions. As president and treasurer, you will have permissions to everything. And then with vice president and secretary, you may see things a little bit differently. We also can change those permissions for you as well if you would like. So capabilities, updating your roster. Tell us who's in your organization. Tell us if you have new members, get rid of old members. Allow that opportunity for your community to connect and for everyone to see the information. Submitting events. This is huge for our campus. All student organization events must be submitted on Engage. That's on campus, off campus, that's virtual, that's in person, that's a meeting, that's whatever you may be doing, submit those events on your Engage profile. Additionally, you can have things like you're housing your documents through this Documents tab here, where you can upload folders and files, keep a record of everything. Of course, you can create a form to do a survey, to do a registration, anything that you need it for. Posting articles is a great opportunity for you to showcase what you're working on in a public manner of how you, like it's a great marketing opportunity. And then of course, holding your elections. So just a reminder one more time, the drop-down menu is determined by the position you hold and the permissions that you have. You may see things differently, but that's what Engage provides to you. Okay, so your roster, let's dive into each thing a little bit more, right? So managing your roster, there are a couple buttons at the top of the page, and that includes managing positions, ending memberships, and inviting people. So managing positions is a predetermined position button that is determined at the administrative level. There are, however, some specific student organization positions that you can create just by clicking on this button. You can go in there, you can have, say I want to have an events chair. So I'm going to, put in events chair, and their permissions are going to be everything, including events, documents, and roster. And that's all that they get to have. Or maybe they are the philanthropy chair and they get to have every piece of information that the president also gets to hold. Those are some things that you get to decide in managing your positions. Ending memberships, oh my goodness. Okay, so if you do not know who that person is on your roster, you've never met them, you've never seen them, they don't participate in anything, get them off your roster, okay? They are no longer involved. They are not returning. They don't need your communication if they're not an active member. And you can just go ahead and delete that name. So to do this, you'll just click the little box right to next to their name, and then you'll just click this end membership button and it'll just kick them out, just like you would be unfriending or unfollowing somebody on social media. And then lastly, where you will invite your members is you'll click on the invite people button, where you will basically be sending them a friend request to join your profile. You can connect membership invitations to a specific position. So if you are, let's say that, Sally Sue is going to be your events chair, you created the position through manage positions, and then you went down and added her as a friend to the profile, you can then connect her directly to that position. I promise some of this might not make sense because we're just seeing a profile here, but if you go back and watch this presentation, specifically for the roster, and you follow along with some of the keywords that I'm using, you'll completely understand what I'm talking about. Whenever you invite people, you can invite them via their email. You can make an entire list. You can have up to 500 people. You can add their permissions, and all they have to do is just click accept. So updating your roster, one of the things that you can utilize is inviting students during the involvement fairs. So they can go on and click join through the Cork app or on the desktop version, and then you'll eventually see, like, let's say that Mickey Mouse comes by and he wants to join your organization at Fall Fest, and he clicked join on the Cork app. His invitation will come up right here in pending. And all you have to do is just click on this little button, and then you'll see his profile and just accept that invitation. Again, very similar to Facebook, right? So you're accepting people into your page, you're letting people follow you, you're letting people be involved. And that's all through updating your roster. Okay, so events. This is your next page on your form. So events, again, student organizations are required by our policy to submit all event and meetings on Engage. You can do that through going through your hamburger menu, clicking on the events tab, and then clicking a blue button at the top that says create events. If for some reason you are an officer and you do not have this permission, please contact me and let me know, and I can adjust some of your permissions to make sure that you have access to that. But that will be the button that you click to fill out your form, where all information is asked of you based off of what event you're trying to host and what you're trying to do. Now, when you get a event approved or a meeting request approved, this page is what you'll see here, this graphic right here. So you'll see that there's a button for change details. There's a button for canceling the events. You can track your attendance, and you can even get post-event feedback. So let's say that you're interested in hosting some type of educational requirement for your organization, that you all have to complete some type of internal training, and there are some post-event questions that you want to ask. You can actually connect all of that to your event submission, and then it will just pop up, and then you can gather all that information right here. The other thing with change details, before we move on, change details. If something pops up in your planning where you need to update the description, you need to add a picture, you need to do anything like that, you can go ahead and click the change details. It will actually reopen your event request, and you can just update it and resubmit it, and then I'll approve it for you once it's completed there. Okay. So documents is just like you would think of a Google Drive. So housing your documents is super, super important for us. You can add folders for different things. This is an example from my sort profile here. So I have accounting resources, agenda and meeting minute resources, all different kinds of things that I'm using for these trainings. And I've just created a folder, and then inside those folders, I will just click on the open button, and then I will add a file to that. So if you have like an annual event that's going on, or if you have like maybe a standard operating procedure, you have anything that gets transitioned from one officer to another from year to year, please, 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 I cannot ask you any more than begging for you on this recording to add that folder in and utilize that file. The one current kind of challenge that I'm working through with some of the organizations is that, yes, while I love Google Drive just as much as the next person does, when it comes time to finalizing those documents and putting them in a specific location, cannot encourage you more to utilize the documents form on your profile so that it stays forever, instead of having to worry about like, well, Becky had this 3 years ago and she's not in our org, and she actually like lives in California right now, and we have no idea what her contact information is, so we can't even gather that document from her. This is the perfect opportunity for you to house your documents. And of course, the last bullet point here says decide permissions for your accessibility. What that means is that if you have specific documents that you don't want anyone else to know about on campus, you can select the permission. So that, see this little button, permissions here, you can select that permissions button to be public for literally the entire world to see. You can have anybody who has a Right State W number login available, they can see it, or you can do it for your specific organization or even for specific permissions. So think about those kinds of permissions that you want to have available to the different documents that you're housing, but please be mindful of submitting everything onto Engage so that we can utilize the platform to the best of its ability. Okay, so forms. You can gather data, you can gather signups, you can submit concerns, you can just fill out a form to say like, hey, my name is Courtney and my phone number is blah, 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 and I just want you, like, this is my registration form, okay? So when you, see how the managing Engage, this is whenever it was a blank form, but you can add pages before and after, you can have certain logic, you can name things, you can see a page list, all these great things, and then all these buttons on the bottom, they are all your customizable options here. So what that means is that if you have a question, like some of your questions, you'll see they might have a checkbox, they might have a radio button, they might have a text field. What you're filling out now is how I created this form, right? So however you need to create your form for your upcoming event or your meeting or your travel excursion or anything like that, you can utilize the forms and we can help you dive through some of those things as well if you need additional assistance later. So forms are super helpful, documents are super helpful, Engage overall is just super helpful. And I know I sound a little bit brainwashed, but just trust me on this. Okay, so form properties. So when you complete your form, this is the first page that you'll see. It allows you to have your name, if you want to have the form active or not. So that means like if it's currently live, you'll click that active button. And then some other things is that you can feature it in the Explore forms, which means that it's available to everyone under the Forms tab on the homepage of Engage, or you could even hide it. So if you have like a specific organization registration form to fill out and you don't need the whole world to see it, then you can go ahead and click the hide. Some other forms would be that, or some other permissions are that you can start and end the time and the date. And then you can also, again, see who has the permissions for it. So if you need the public users to be able to see it, that does include people who are outside of Right State. So that would be for like a really good like event registration, you could use that. Or if they're allowed to have multiple submissions or anything else. So these wonderful permissions provides you with the opportunity to truly customize your form to your personal needs. Okay, news post. So I know we're going a little bit fast, but I want to give you just like a snippet of information that just so you can start hearing some of the language that we're talking about. So whenever I say news post, you're like, oh yeah, we learned about that in the Managing Engage training. So let's talk about news posts here. So this is a wonderful opportunity for you to utilize creating news posts just like a Facebook post that you would do, or maybe an Instagram post. I don't even know if your generation uses Facebook anymore, but anyways, you can talk about previous or upcoming events, fundraisers, exciting news, donations, anything that you want to share with the campus community. You can go ahead and do that again through your hamburger menu right here, this 3-lined menu. When it drops down, you will see news. Clicking on that will allow you to see a blue button that says create news article, and it will bring you to this page right here. So of course you'll put in a title, a little summary. There is a 250 character. It is required from some strange reason. So, give us your elevator speech, give us a summary of what this whole article is about. And then down here in the body, you can just write and write and write. And you have all the different kinds of hyperlinks. You can copy and paste. You can add photos. You can number things, bullet point them, anything like that. And then, of course, you can upload your image as well. Now, one thing that is not provided in this screenshot that I was unable to get in the shot is down here at the bottom. There's a little button that says who is this article viewable to, or basically what are the permissions. This is again another thing that you can put for public, for just the Wright State community, just your organization or specific people in mind. So if you have an upcoming event or fundraiser and you want to connect it to your Twitter page, you can utilize the shareable URL and connect it there. And so if people who, maybe your aunt or your uncle wants to see what you're up to in your student organization, they can view the articles through a public viewing. But anybody who has just the Wright State permission and a Wright State W number with credentials, they will only be able to see those ones too. So this is a wonderful opportunity to market. If you ever have a ton of information to share, I highly recommend putting it on as a news post, and then you can actually showcase that news post in the student involvement newsletter through sharing the URL to your news post within your student organization. I hope all of that makes sense, but basically having this just allows you to share out to a ton of other outlets as well and platforms. Okay, so elections. I will let you know that there's going to be a entire training on elections of a step-by-step process. So this is, again, just a quick overview, very fast summary of just what this tool is on your Engage. So the Campus Labs company, when they were creating the elections process for this, they created a completely secure and trusted tool. And I can promise you to that. Because to get into Engage, you have to have your W credentials or any type of university login. That is a single sign-in for your specific profile. Okay, so whenever you do that, you then only have one opportunity to go through your elections if there was an election available for like SGA or for your specific organization or anything like that. It is completely secure to your profile and a 100% trusted tool that the company itself has really capitalized on. So again, going through your hamburger menu, your 3-line drop-down menu, you would click on the elections and you would click the blue button, create elections. What this generates basically is a form for you to complete that will allow you to build up what questions you're asking, what you want to put on the ballot. You can put profiles, you can put options, all that sort of thing. It is built exactly like a form. If you want to use elections for campus-wide things, so like if SGA wanted to put elections on Engage, they could, or if you wanted to have just a quick voting of like, hey, we have 4 different opportunities of events that fit within our budget, and we just want to vote on like what your most likely to attend or your favorite event that you want to do. you could build an election based off of that if you want. The fun thing is that you can include blurbs and pictures for candidates through some of the profiles. Again, going over that in complete detail in a separate training. So if you're interested in that, we'll have another training for you later on YouTube as well, where I'll show you how to build all of that sort of thing. And then know that the election ballot can be used for internal or external purposes. So if it's, an internal of like, hey, we're trying to vote on this one position, or maybe your university program board and you're like, hey, we just want to throw out an election of like, what kind of event do you want to see us do over homecoming? You can do any type of form or voting in that sort of way. And then two other things, just really quick on this one, exporting results. You can see that there's a little tab here that says results, and by clicking on that, you'll be able to receive all of that information. You can export it into an Excel spreadsheet, which is super great. And everything is secret, so everything is coded, and you won't know that, Sally Sue voted for, Barbie and Ken, or that Sally Sue voted for Tigger and Winnie the Pooh, or anything like that. And then one of the other buttons that you'll see here is that you can publish election ballots for the homepage of Engage for student organization members, which means that there'll be a banner that you'll see on the homepage whenever an election for your organization opens up. Again, for the millionth time, I feel like the elections tab and building that will be a separate training that we can go into all those details later. But just be aware of all these different things that you can do within the elections tab. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our training. So I hope that this information was informative and helpful to you. Of course, my contact information is here available. If you do have a question specifically about this training, I do ask that you email sort@right.edu first before you email my personal email. Just trying to keep some things separated. Of course, I have a WebEx room. If you ever need to come into my virtual office hours, they are available Monday and Thursdays. And if you ever need anything else, please let me know. I'm happy to help and serve you in any way that I can. So go ahead, finish up the rest of your questions, scroll back, go through another section if you were a little confused or need to revisit some information. And then whenever you feel like your form is ready, go ahead and click submit. And then you'll hear again from me whenever I have an update on your progress report. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you so much for listening.